Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Covington City Council meeting for Tuesday, November 26th. In compliance with state law, City Council special and regular meetings are held in a hybrid format with in-person, telephonic, and virtual options for public viewing and participation. With that, we'll call this meeting to order. And Krista, if you'd like to please call the roll.
Councilmember Soltis, Councilmember Porter,
Here.
Councilmember Hartsock,
Here.
Councilmember Harjehausen,
Present.
Councilmember Samomo,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith,
Here.
Mayor Wagner.
Present.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. And I'd look for a motion to excuse Councilmember Christina.
So moved. Oh, second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to excuse Christina. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Christina has been excused. If everybody could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank
Did
you
I?
all. So before we move on to the next item, we have a special night tonight. It is somebody's birthday.
Oh, gee.
So would like to wish our Mayor Pro Tem, Sean Smith, a happy birthday. There you go.
Looks like a cone.
Oh, look at that. Wow. No, it's not ticking.
I know,
It's a
not at this
nice,
age, I wouldn't do
very
that.
nice cupcake.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
It's even got little rings on there for you to wear.
You have to share it with
You
her.
can show off some.
Yeah, it's
glam.
gonna be tough to split that into what, 30 pieces? So,
Just go in the
Thank
back and eat it all by yourself.
well, thank you.
Krista found that for you.
Thank you.
But
Appreciate
before
it.
we continue, let's sing happy birthday to you. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sean. Happy birthday to you. Happy
Thank
birthday, sir.
you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
So I don't know if there's something with the sound, but for some reason I feel like my voice got deeper.
You're a born singer.
Now I'm getting older,
It was Beth.
older than you.
Yeah.
All right, next is approval of the agenda. We do have a proclamation that we're going to add as item number 3 under public communication. Is there anything else, any other changes, Regan?
No, that's it. Thanks.
All right, so we'll look to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the amended agenda. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda has been approved. Next is reports of commissions, Economic Development Council. Josh, welcome. Good to see you, sir.
All right. Well, we've got our next meeting coming up next week. We have had one meeting, I guess, since the last time I saw you guys. A couple of quick updates. We continue our business to business communications project, and that seems to be going well. This next meeting will be returning with some ideas around how to activate the Karma statue project. So activate it in the way of really, how do we get some more business activity out of something like that and whatnot. Of course, we've mentioned there's other communities that have done the same thing.
Mhm.
So we're trying to come up with something unique. So if you guys have any great ideas, we'd be glad to hear them. One thing I'd like to revisit from the last update I gave, I mentioned that one of our more exciting projects that I think is going to really dominate the next couple of years of CETA's attention is focusing on all of those things we've talked about before around kind of the downtown definition project, the marketing project, giving the downtown core an identity of its own outside of maybe what we might see with the new commercial development and whatnot. And I mentioned the concept of blue zones, and I saw a couple puzzled looks and wasn't really prepared to go too in depth around that, but I just wanted to talk about that real quick. Blue zones as a concept are really just an identification of certain communities that share unique characteristics that really results in a healthier community, and they're uniquely healthy. And in those communities, we also see a really vibrant business community as well. So CETAS really sees the idea of creating a community health hub around kind of what's going on with the new community center. There's a project in the works where Valley Medical Center is teaming up with the city to perhaps meld their property together in that downtown core project where we could really create something super unique, something that could generate the energy that we might need to really kind of spread out through the rest of the downtown core and focus our energy around a really healthy community, which blends right in with all of the things that we've really been talking about, but haven't really found that. For example, I've mentioned to you before, we're searching for that X factor type thing. Well, our X factor might just be something like this. So we're super excited about it. If you get a chance and are interested, blue zones are the concept, and they're super cool and they're catching fire. A lot of communities in Washington State have endeavored upon kind of incorporating some of those things, Walla Walla being a really cool one. So just wanted to make sure you guys were clear that what we were kind of working on that end. So other than that, I think it covers it. Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Josh? Thank you very much and appreciate everything that your commission does, your Economic Development Council.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Next is reports from Youth Council. How are you tonight?
Well,
Thank you for being here.
yeah. Unfortunately, I missed the last meeting. So I'll go over October and November. So for our October, we were planning trunk or treat, which that went really well. It was really fun, although it was pouring rain. So we did call a little early because some people didn't bring coats, so they were pretty cold. But it was fun. I was dressed up as Scooby-Doo. It was fun. And then we did the road cleanup. That was good. We had pretty low attendance. People kind of came at the wrong time because they came at the end. We had already finished, so it was like, oh, great. But it was good. We got the road. It was pretty clean. Mostly. There was very little compared to the last few years that we've done it. So that was really good. Let's see what else here. The last meeting, the November meeting, for the youth council, I wasn't able to attend, but I have what they did. Although I don't know much about it. Well, a little bit. They talked about tree lighting and letters to Santa, which is what we usually do every year. Where kids come up and they write letters to Santa, and it's really cute, and we respond to them. It's pretty general.
Santa responds to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Santa responds to that. That's yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep, and then they talked about the Youth Action Day in Olympia, which is when we go to Olympia and talk to the representatives and do LIAC, which is really fun last year. And then they had a King County Youth Council presentation. I have no idea what it was about, but it happened. So that's what we've been up to.
Great. You sound like you've had a lot of free time on your hand. Very busy.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
thank you. Council, have any questions? No. Thank you very much.
Tree
Really
lighting.
appreciate that update and continue doing the great things you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Arts Commission, Riley, welcome.
Thank you for having me. So I don't have a ton of updates. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. We are continuing working on the installation of our utility reps, which should be wrapped up any day now. It's really a weather dependent job. So any day now, that's not raining. So we'll work on that one. We are still working on the Karma Initiative discussions around it, like the, sorry,
Josh.
why I can't remember the name of your group.
CETUS.
Like CETUS as well. We need to work, honestly, we should do a meeting together to talk about it because we all have different ideas on how this program should go, but the idea came from the Arts Commission. We're really proud of it. We want to do everything we can to push it forward. And then outside of that, we reviewed our Halloween drawing competition. I don't know, have you guys got a copy of the winners yet? No? Okay, I will make sure that gets to you, but we determined that at the last meeting, the winners for the, it was just a coloring competition at the Makers Market. So those are all the updates I have.
Great. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you very
Thank you.
much, Riley.
Yeah, of
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thank you. Equity, Cultural and Social Justice Commission has not met, and we do not have a Human Services report or Parks and Recreations report. We have Planning Commission report. Welcome. How are you tonight?
Excellent.
Great.
I missed the last one. I apologize. I was traveling in Iowa. I'm from Iowa, if anybody doesn't know. So yeah, what are the odds of two Iowa people on the planning commission?
Yeah.
Steve
Yeah.
Lawson, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. So Kenner Aronson, chair of the planning commission. We have had a couple of kind of rapid fire sessions over the last 2 months, one on October 17th and one on November 7th. The first thing that we chatted about was really a continuation of the House Bill 1110, the missing middle item. So all of those kind of housing, I think there's 9 or 10 different types of housing that fall under that category. We had a public hearing to consider the 2024 comprehensive plan update, making a recommendation to the city council to adopt the plan. So thank you all for that. And then third, we reviewed the 2025 work plan, which is the bulk of what the planning commission is going to be working on in 2025. That includes legislative requirements due by June. So that's the date to keep in mind for all of you, including middle housing, climate work, the ADU requirement, and a couple other things. The work plan also includes any of the expected code updates that we're going to see in 2025.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for Kenner? Thank you very much for being here tonight. Have a happy Thanksgiving. That concludes our reports of commissions. Next up is public communication. First up is our legislative report with Emily. And did Brianna make it?
Yes, I think I see her on
Oh, there
the,
she is.
on the video.
Welcome, Brianna.
And I'd just like to apologize to council. I did not bring a happy birthday gift, but I did give you a birthday gift of giving you a presentation of our upcoming session.
Perfect.
So I hope that satisfies your birthday
A-okay.
request.
I
So
think
good
that's even
evening.
better.
Yeah,
So too, yeah.
This is what you want for your birthday.
exactly. Well, I am
Worry
always
about
time
you.
age so.
You get it if you want it or not.
Mhm.
So good evening, Mayor and Council. It is a pleasure to be here with you all today. I'm new to a lot of you, as I do want to do a quick second to introduce myself and my colleague on the phone. My name is Emily Shea. I am a new state lobbyist on the Gordon Thomas Honeywell Government Relations team, and I am joined virtually by Brianna Murray. If she just wants to wave or quickly say hi as well.
Good
There she
evening,
is.
Mayor and Council. Sorry, I'm not able to be there this evening, but you're in Emily's very capable hands.
Yes, and I'd like to add that it does require transportation issues, so it's very fitting for our presentation tonight. And although I am new to you, I'm not new to lobbying. Before this, I was with the Association of Washington Business as their tax and fiscal director. So I've been lobbying on the Hill for a few years now and just transitioning over to Gordon Thomas Honeywell. Another face you might remember is on our next slide. If I can get it to work here. That is Holly. She is still on the team. She is also working from home this evening as our policy analysis. She will still be working under the city of Covington, just having me transition to more on the grounds in Olympia this session. So with that, I will dive into the substance of tonight's short legislative agenda and our overview of our presentation. So first being what to expect during the legislative session that's upcoming in the next month. I will cover as well as our draft legislative priorities that we have been working on with the city and city staff, and then our next steps moving forward. So I'm going to start with the current political climate, then provide you with a budget overview. So you're likely aware, we just finished our election. As of today, we are about 80% voter turnout in Washington state and currently have 4,000 ballots still waiting to be counted. The results that I have for you today are technically not considered final results, as they won't be certified till December 5th, but they are a pretty good indicator of what we expect to be the final results. I'll highlight a few things for you. We can start off with the initiatives. There were 3 different initiatives on the ballot for voters for consideration, all of which were repealing recent tax measures, one being for a Climate Commitment Act, a recently upheld capital gains tax, and a Long-Term Care Act. These were all upheld. We also had a 4th initiative on the ballot that relates to access to natural gas. That bill actually did pass. We've heard conversations from recent legislators that they're expected to see this as a green light for progressive tax reform, seeing as though all the initiatives were upheld. So this is going to be a green light for seeing those tax bills come forward during session. All 9 executive positions were retained by Democrats. Democrats have very solidly retained and expanded their majorities in both the House and the Senate. There were really close races this election, including the 10th, 17th, 18th, and 14th legislative district. From the looks of things, this means that Democrats are likely to gain 1 seat in both the House and the Senate, so expanding their majority. This means they will have 60% vote in each chamber, and with that, Democrats will have the ability to approve bonds and transfers out of the budget stabilization account without Republican support. While there isn't necessarily significant turnover in politics in Washington state, there is definitely significant turnover in people. We saw about 18 different legislators not seek re-election this year. So what that means is not only will I be a new face with the city of Covington, but there will be many new legislators coming into session with different priorities. As in the case for the beginning of the new legislative biennium, the legislators will go through a process now where they reorganize themselves, re-elect leadership, identify who their committee chairs and ranking members are, and identify which legislators will be serving on which committees. That process will occur throughout November, and the legislators will meet in the week of December 9th in what's called committee assembly days, which I will get to later in the presentation, where they will start holding work sessions and topics that plan to tackle this next session. And I will quickly note in regards to City of Covington, Senator Peterson was elected as the new Senate Majority Leader, as he was on Ways and Means, but particularly for you guys, Senator Committee assessments were made yesterday, and Senator Kaufman will be chairing the Senate Business, Finance, and Service and Trades, and serving as leadership liaison to tribal nations as she was reappointed in that position. We are still waiting for the House members for Stearns and Representative Entman, but those should be coming out during committee days. Now to next slide. Now for the budget overview. As I mentioned earlier, this is the start of a new legislative biennium on a 2-year cycle. So meaning on the first year of the cycle, this is a 105-day long session where they review the budgets. The primary task in front of the legislator is to adopt those biennium budgets. The state has 3 budgets: an operating, a capital, and a transportation budget. In addition to their budget work, they will also consider policy bills. Generally, in a long session, that will be around 2,000. Of those, if historical contexts and trends continue, 300 to 400 will be passed. In addition to the policy bills, there is the operating budget, where the budget writers are anticipating a 10 to 12 billion shortfall over the next 4 years, as we have definitely seen in the news coming out lately. The shortfall is largely caused by rising cost, lower than expected tax collections, and increasing demand for public services. The transportation budget is facing similar revenue shortfalls for some time now. Over the next 10 years, there is a multi-billion shortfall in delivery and transportation projects that I'm very aware you're familiar with. The capital budget is luckily the most stable out of 3 budgets, but it's not expected to increase in size like it has in most recent years. This budget that funds bricks and mortar construction like your parks, community buildings, is the most reliable way of seeing return on investment for the city of Covington dollars and bringing back to the city of Covington. With that in mind, and not to put a damper on everything, here are the items that we will discuss as our approved legislative agenda that over the past several months I've been pairing with city staff. With the budget shortfall and recent tax increases that I just discussed being upheld, legislators are considering revenue packages. It is likely that the operating and transportation package will be in some sort of joint situation, but what that looks like and what taxes will be brought forward are still unclear at the moment. Hoping to get more of an understanding during those committee days. This agenda before you that we will just go over allows the community to adjust what opportunities we have in front of us. As their lobbyists, we do not have a handle on what legislators choose to increase or what bills they choose to make forward. But it's a decision that is much bigger than the community or what one lobbyist can do. And what we can do is adjust for advocacy and to make sure that we are investing in the right priorities for session. So with that, we'll get into the fun stuff. Here are the three priorities in front. Transportation, there are specifics in there, public safety and Jenkins Creek Trail. Technology works, that'll be great too. There she is. Regarding State Route 516, familiar project for you all. This 1.75 mile section of the corridor of 850th Avenue Southeast to the East City remains unfunded. So this year we're continuing and to request 40.1 million in the transportation package. We do recognize how often and ongoing the budget shortfall presents a significant challenge in securing these necessary funds. However, we do remain optimistic in our pursuit and highlighting the critical importance of this project to your community. Also regarding transportation, we want to continue advocating for SR 18 and making sure that that $640 million investment for widening and safety improvements is delivered, and that legislators are continuing to commit to delivering that project in a timely manner. We continue to advocate with SEAL TAC and coordinate coalition efforts for session as we prepare. This remains another key element to why local maintenance and preservation has become so key in any upcoming session. And we do see through the new elected administration that will be a priority moving forward for maintenance and preservation for transportation. So we look forward to having that as a conversation starter in Olympia. That brings us to capital funding for Jenkins Street Trail. Regarding the capital budget, the city is requesting an additional $867,000 to complete the trail phase 1 of Jenkins Street Trail. We did make a funding request in 2023 for $750,000, but only received $250,000. So we do believe we have the right messaging for this moving forward, in addition to receiving the grant money from the Wildlife Recreational Program grant. Regarding public safety, this has also been declared as a top priority for the new Ferguson administration. Our request involves public safety initiatives such as providing $100 million to academies throughout the state and establishing municipal justice accounts. As other measures progress, we will carefully consider the impact they have on the city of Covington and weigh in when needed. That brings us to our long list of policy documents, as those are the key elements to what is important to the city of Covington that wasn't mentioned on our legislative priorities. These were not among the three to five main priorities for this year. They will also be included in our reports that we send out weekly basis to the city in regards to what bills are coming up, information we have on the priorities, and ways we can kind of coalesce with that list. And then support for AWC. I know you all are very familiar with the work that the Association of Washington Cities does. Included in your priorities is a support for those legislative agenda items that they have now adopted from the AWC board. We continue to partner with AWC and engage in their legislative agenda process. Our advocacy means to ensure AWC supports Covington's best interest, coordinating efforts with the mayor and city staff on that. This year, AWC focused on securing funds for maintenance and preservation through a new revenue package as gas tax revenue declines. They are also seeking flexibility with existing revenue sources and local discretion on how to use these funds. Regarding public safety, AWC requests funding via the Municipal Justice Assistance System account and maintains full state funding for law enforcement training, which has increased from 75% to 100% this last year. So very much aligning with our own policy document. Additionally, they emphasize the need for housing supply and behavioral health capacity. And then with that, that brings us to our next steps. We have December meetings scheduled with the delegation to provide our finalized agenda in front of them. Then we have our committee days that was discussed in December 9th to 13th, where we'll learn which committees the senators and representatives will be placed on. And then our fun legislative session begins on January 13th, where I know Brianna is excited to have me run around advocating for the city of Covington. And I just want to say thank you for having me here tonight, before the holidays. I know that it's a busy time of year, and I'm very excited to be on the team, representing you guys this next session. So with that, if you have any questions and don't want to bug the mayor or Reagan, because I know I'm tired of bugging him, feel free to bug me or Brianna. Our phone numbers and contact information are there. And again, I hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving and happy birthday, Sean.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Emily? Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to working with you. I know that Brianna has always chosen well to help make sure that we're taken care of, and I know that you're very capable of doing it. I won't be able to keep up with you down in Olympia, so you just go and get it done. But thank you. We're looking forward to working with you.
Of course, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I'm again sorry I wasn't able to be there, but we are looking forward to this next session. And thank you for allowing me to tune in remotely.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for being here.
I'll just say there's a little boy that greatly appreciates Mama's home tonight. So
Yeah.
thank you.
You bet. Have a great evening and a happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Next up is the quarterly report from our awesome executive director of the Covington Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I am Dana Newts, and I am fortunate to lead the Covington Chamber of Commerce along with my wonderful assistant and event coordinator, Kilana Temyosa. You hear me talk about her often, so if you haven't met her, there she is. So actually, Emily covered a couple of things that I'm going to talk about, so I can skip those. I'm going to start with an update about what we've been up to the last couple of months. I'm going to tell you about events for next month, and then tell you what changes to anticipate next year. So the last couple of months, we did Member September, which is our annual Member September celebration. It's an opportunity for us to celebrate and thank our members. We had about 50 people in attendance at Grill in the Woods. We used their event space for the first time, and it was food was really good. The team was great. Really enjoyed meeting with them, and we really focused on doing some recognition of our members and making sure that they know how much we appreciate them, because we're here for them and because of them. Covington Makers Market we held at Town Center Lawn for the first time. The space, people were very excited, especially the people that were driving by, that were walking by. They really enjoyed that space. We had beautiful weather. We loved working with the city on that, as we always enjoyed partnering with you. But it was a great venue and a great event. It was our 7th. And we will have another one coming up soon, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. At this month's luncheon, James Donaldson, former NBA pro basketball player, was our speaker, and it was so touching. So his focus was on mental health awareness and suicide prevention. And he told his own very touching story about a time when he was considering suicide. It was very moving. His focus now is really on teaching adults to be comfortable, to normalize mental health awareness, so that all of us are watching it, but also youth, starting at the elementary school age. What language can they use? What should parents watch for? How can we talk to our kids? So I was just so impressed with him, and he was so giving of his time. He offered to meet with us, and we gave him a sponsored membership for his foundation. It's Your Gift of Life, and it also focuses on mental health awareness and suicide prevention. As of right now, we have 174 members, which is only a few more than when I was here the last time, but that's because of the churn on the back end. We've had 37 new members this year. My goal was 36. So I am happy to be at 37, and I hope to get a few more by the end of the year. In December, we have a very busy month. We are participating in the Covington tree lighting. We are going to have a booth for the first time, and we're a sponsor for the first time. Kilana and I will be working that booth and doing greeting cards, do-it-yourself greeting card station. December 12th, instead of our normal luncheon, that's our normal luncheon day, but we are going to be at Dave & Buster's from 3 to 5 p.m. Kind of more of a festive environment, but it will continue. It will be our ugly sweater party. and nonprofit fundraiser. Last year was the first time we added the fundraiser component. And what we did is a number of different activities. People bought raffle tickets. People donated, instead of buying a white elephant gift, they donated toward our nonprofits. And one of our members was so generous, he gave $100 for every nonprofit member that we have. We also matched it from the Good Work Fund, so we collected over $5,000. So each of our nonprofits at that time received a check for 220. Not a lot of money, but it was really about awareness, because we have some nonprofits that everybody knows about. And then there's some little known ones like Do the Right Thing or See You Later Foundation that not a lot of people know about. So it was a good opportunity for us to share their story. And we are doing our first holiday, well, I should say Keelana is doing our first holiday market. When I told her that Kiwanis and Covington Elementary weren't going to do their holiday markets this year, she said, "Oh, I see an opportunity there." She said we could do one. So Carla suggested St. John the Baptist. We approached them and they said yes. So we're going to have an indoor holiday market on Saturday, December 14th. From 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And Sean, I'll send you guys all like invites to this, so you know the days and times and locations. We also have one outdoor vendor, and who are the food vendors that are coming?
Dick's Burgers, the Carnival Food Truck, and Don's Meat.
Yeah, she's responsible for Dick's Burgers, so you can thank her for that.
Pay raise for her, right? For that one? She gets a pay raise for that one?
Yes, she should. She definitely should. She always deserves a pay raise. Okay, so what to anticipate next year? So the last couple of years, we've tried hard to maintain the culture that we had, while just kind of adding new things a little bit every year, like the market and the annual awards. And now we're ready to take that one step further. So I'm so proud of myself. We've already have the calendar for all of next year done.
Ooh.
Yes. So once it's approved by the board next week, I will be sharing that with everyone. We also have identified all the sponsorship opportunities for our events for next year, so members can plan ahead if they'd like. Instead of us going to them all the time saying, "Hey, we need sponsors," we'd like to give them the opportunity to plan and consider, what aligns with their goals and what do they want to support. Advocacy is important. Emily gave all the stats and all the things I wanted to say, so I will skip over that part. An exciting change is we are moving to a new CRM and website. On the front end, there's nothing wrong with what we have. On the back end, we've had some problems. Customer service or customer support is a problem, but it's been down more than a couple of times. And it's really frustrating, especially with support being on Eastern time. I met somebody who created his own software company and his own software specifically for chambers called Chambermate at the WCCE conference. And for a savings of $2,700 a year, we can get a system that's better than what we have and more responsive. And their response time is so much better. I've talked to people who've converted to it or who are thinking of converting to it, and I've heard nothing but good things. We did a demo of it last week and we're both so impressed. So we are going to migrate to that in January. So guess how long migration takes? 1 week. 1 week. I am so excited about that. I just can't even tell you. There's no website project that's ever taken just 1 week. So of course there'll be some ramp up, but during that week, which will be the week of January 20th, we will be kind of MIA because we will be focused on getting this up and running and testing it so that there's very little downtime for our members. 2025 events. So we're looking at events a little bit differently next year. Our monthly luncheons are popular, but people have been talking about cost and it doesn't always work for everybody's schedules. We still have, plenty of people coming, but we thought we would try quarterly luncheons. 3 of those would be the special ones. They would be our joint luncheon with Maple Valley Black Diamond in June, Member September, and our December Ugly Sweater Party and nonprofit fundraiser. One of the most important things that our members come to us for is networking opportunities. And so we are going to add monthly morning meetups to not replace, but to fill in the gap that by taking the luncheons away. So people will have an opportunity to plug in the morning at lunchtime, and we'll still do the monthly happy hour. So still lots of opportunities to connect. We're gonna add kind of a new member component onto the meetups on a quarterly basis. It'll be primarily for the new members to meet each other, for us to make sure that they know what resources we offer our members, but also for existing members who just want to meet them and, you know, see who's new and make them feel welcome. We started working on this maybe a month ago or so, and we already have the first 5 months of next year filled, including the city of Covington. The city of Covington is hosting the February 6th event. Maybe in this room, maybe in the community room, but really looking forward to that. So it's a great opportunity to get out to meet some of our members. If it works for your schedule, we would love to have you. They will be 8 to 9. Last year, we expanded our awards beyond what we used to do at our luncheons. It was very popular the very first year that we did it this way, like kind of a cocktail reception, sold out. It was a great event. I thought it was really fun, really enjoyed it. So we are going to expand that to a larger award celebration. It'll be on a Friday night. It'll actually be a dinner. We'll probably add a couple of awards, but it will be a fundraiser for us also. We're going to do a different type of fundraiser. Once I get more details about it, or once I better understand how we're doing it, I'll be happy to share that with you. But the bottom line is it's a fundraiser that isn't going to require as much hard work as like the Gala Rotary, for example. I mean, gathering all those items, and you know, we don't have the bandwidth for that. We don't have enough people for that, but I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be a very elegant evening, lots of fun, VIP cocktail hour, photo booth, the works. And next year we plan to host 3 markets again. I have no doubt the December one will be a hit, and if it isn't, keep trying until it is. But I have a lot of faith in her. I have no doubt that it'll be great. Also next year, it's time to deepen our bench. You know, we have a good solid team for staff, and I'm very pleased. We work very well together. But we've been leveling up for the last few years, and it's time to do more. And in order to do more, we need more help. So we are going to reactivate our committees. That's not something that I've done very well since I started, because I just didn't have the bandwidth to manage it all. But we're going to recruit for government affairs. There are a few people in this room that I know like to be involved with government affairs, so we'll continue to include them if they'll have us. Education and workforce development. I'm learning a lot about what some of our other chambers are doing. I think that's a good, easy place to start. Easy might not be the right word, and then we're gonna put together an events committee, not somebody to put on, you know, the morning meetups and the luncheons, but somebody to help, or couple of people, I hope, to help with some of the larger events. As you know, we're all about advocacy, connections, and community, and we appreciate the great partnership that we have with you. Not every chamber has the solid relationship that we have for you, and we really appreciate that for the council and city staff as well. Your support has had a significant impact on our work, and we look forward to what 2025 holds. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Does council have any questions for Dana? I just appreciate your leadership on the chamber, and Keelana, all of your hard work. The two of you as a team getting things done are unstoppable. So, and it shows. It shows. So thank you. So don't go away. Council, if you could please join me down at the dais. Here. I got to look up to him for height and for what he stands for. So his book is very, Madison is starting to read it as well. So it's a very good book. So we have a proclamation tonight, and this is for Small Business Saturday, and this is for. Yeah.
We have some other business owners
in the
room. Would you please come up?
Yeah.
What the heck?
All right.
I used to be a small business owner.
Even it up.
Well, you're gonna be in the picture no matter what. Right, I'll shut up.
I wish we had this when I had a business. We weren't city back then. But so this is to recognize small businesses, and it's the last Saturday of November. And it's to help encourage people to support small businesses, to help them, because while large businesses give back to the community, small businesses give back just as much. And they really help support and get involved. We have a proclamation, whereas the city of Covington recognizes the vital role that small businesses play in bolstering our local economy, creating jobs, strengthening our neighborhoods, and maintaining the unique character and charm of our community. And whereas small businesses in and around Covington have faced unprecedented challenges in recent years, including last week's severe storm and weather-related impacts that have disrupted operations and caused unanticipated hardships, especially what happened 4 years ago. Whereas Small Business Saturday is a nationwide movement dedicated to supporting small businesses on the Saturday following Thanksgiving, encouraging citizens to shop small, dine locally, and seek services from small businesses in their community. And whereas the city of Covington joins with the Covington Chamber of Commerce, local organizations, and citizens to emphasize the importance of small businesses to our city. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Covington, do hereby proclaim November 30th, 2024 to be Small Business Saturday and encourage all residents and visitors to celebrate and support our small businesses by shopping, dining, and purchasing services locally on this day and throughout the year. And we'd like to give this proclamation to the chamber, who represents a lot of our small businesses. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Everybody's already standing up here. They're gonna say,
Oh, you do? Thank God online. He is he's even shorter than Mr. Donaldson, so.
Not only the pandemic, but especially last week showed how communities can come together to support each other. I think because of the storm last week, so many businesses were dramatically affected, big businesses as well as small businesses. So I really appreciate the citizens and the business community working together to help each other, to help our neighbors, and doing what they can to support them. And Saturday is just a way to recognize, another day to recognize that small businesses matter.
Everybody take 2 steps to the left. I'm on 2 steps to
Oh.
the left. We'll settle it out. That's good. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Yay.
Sorry, just gotta grab this.
So it means if Dick's is gonna be there, I'll be there from 9 AM to 3 PM. Well, that's right. I have a previous engagement at 9 AM anyway, so that's perfect. All right, next is our first of 2 public comment. Speakers will state their name, organization, and whether they are a Covington resident. Comments are directed to city council, not the audience or staff. Comments are to be related to city business. Comments are not intended for conversation or debate and are limited to 4 minutes per speaker. For attendees participating by Zoom, click the raise hand button. For attendees participating by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. Once the city grants permission to speak, press unmute in Zoom or dial *6 to unmute by phone. And first up is anybody, Sam, did you want to speak? Yep, come on up. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Sam Pace, speaking only for myself, not on behalf of any other person or organization. 29839 154th Avenue Southeast. It's just outside the city limits, about 4 minutes southwest of City Hall. On Thursday, November 21st, City Manager Boley was scheduled to be one of 3 speakers at the November meeting of the South King County Women's Council of Realtors, organization of outstanding real estate brokers, including Tamara Paul, will be the 2025 statewide WCR president-elect. I only mentioned Tamara as a point of reference to give you a sense of a really special audience, because I'm confident each of you know her as a consummate community-oriented professional. City manager's presentation was engaging, informative, reflected an understanding and appreciation of his audience. He spoke about cleanup, got an ooh for karma, the city demographics, housing, parks, infrastructure, current planning efforts, finance, and transportation, including the success of the Seattle Transportation Coalition. Not surprisingly, his presentation generated several questions, both general and very detailed. His on-point answers were not only well received, but reflected deep knowledge of the subject matter. The other 2 scheduled speakers, Black Diamond Mayor Carol Benson and Jessica McCartney with the Enumclaw School District, were unable to attend the meeting, something at Bogey's Restaurant in Auburn, because of the weather bomb. As a result, I was asked to fill in the remaining presentation time. To do so, Mr. Boley and I provided attendees with a brief discussion of an emerging situation in the city of Black Diamond that's similar to the situation Covington faced when the PSRC attempted to constrain Covington's efforts to provide desperately needed housing. Before he sat down, so that I could proceed with the balance of my remarks, I asked Mr. Boley if he would remain at the microphone with me for a moment. I didn't explain why, but he was a good sport. I then reminded attendees that many of them would recall I graduated with degrees in urban and regional, not trying to be braggadocious, but I graduated with degrees in urban and regional government, political science, have an MBA, and I'm a recovering lawyer. Mr. Boley volunteered that he too is in recovery. I explained that my work as a lawyer had included a fair amount of municipal law, including serving as one of 3 assistant city attorneys in Oregon's 4th largest city, associate general counsel of a municipal utility board, lead counsel for an urban renewal and economic development agency, associate general counsel of a community college district, limited representation of the Oregon School Boards Association before the state legislature, and conflict work for other cities. In addition to my work as a real estate broker 30 years ago, I was hired as an independent contractor advocate to represent King County's thousands of realtors before all 39 cities, the county, school districts, GMPC, and the PSRC. Subsequently, we added staff. So now my principal responsibility is the 14 cities in King County south of Interstate 90. During nearly 40 years, I've seen and worked with a whole lot of city managers. This time of year, we're invited to be intentional about being thankful for enormous blessings. It's an opportunity and a responsibility that I take very seriously. In that regard, with Reagan Boley graciously standing at my side and not having any idea what I was about to say, I made a point last Thursday to tell my friends and professional colleagues in the Women's Council, and again, without telling him what I plan to do. He asked why I was here, and I told him, well, that's the season. I want to take this opportunity here tonight to share with you that in nearly 40 years of being a very close observer of city managers, Reagan Boley is the very best I've ever seen.
Wow.
The very best, period.
You didn't hear this. Keep going.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I think think I can speak for the full council. We agree with you, Sam, so thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to address council this evening? Is there anybody online wishing to address council? Please raise your hand. Seeing nobody raise their hand, nobody else approach the podium. This public comment period is over and we will have a second opportunity towards the end of our meeting. Next is approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is public hearing, new business item number 1. Tonight, we have a public hearing to receive testimony from the public regarding our proposed fiscal year 2025 operating and capital budget. This being the date set and proper notices have been posted and published in accordance with state and local law. Declare this public hearing open. And Casey?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Just waiting for it to hopefully pop up to our screen. Maybe. Let me just try closing it and opening it one more time. That'll work. That's what it is. All right, thank you, Mayor, Council. So tonight is our second public hearing and final public hearing on the 2025 budget. And I just had some changes that I wanted to go over with you that have taken place since we first initially gave you the budget. And these will be incorporated in the final adopted budget that I'm bringing to you on December 10th. So I just wanted to go over those with you. And please let me know if you have any questions after the hearing. So our first change, these first two changes are actually to 2024 projections. So these are things that we found this year that'll change our 2024 ending fund balance. But we had our solid waste RFP contract that didn't make it into the budget. So there's a portion that's going to be in 2024 and there's a portion that's going to be in 2025. This 18,500 is going to be in 2024. And then we also have a mulch contract that's an annual contract that's in our parks maintenance budget. It's going to work better for this portion of the mulch to take place actually in January, February of next year. So we're just moving that base budget from this year to next year. And then I have a couple of revenue adjustments, and these adjustments now from here on down will take place in the 2025 budget. So I have some revenue for our park bench dedication project. I had the expense side in, we didn't have the revenue side in, we caught that, so we added it. We had a property tax increase. I got a final levy worksheet from the counties that was an additional $30,000, so I'm including that. Base budget adjustments, we have several base budget adjustments. So the first, this is the second half, as I mentioned, of the solid waste RFP contract increase. We had an additional increase to our King County District Court contract. This is for moving our court services from the Auburn Court to down to the Regional Justice Center. It's going to be additional $12,000 to the city. We had an additional contract increase for our lobbyist contract of $2,500. And then we had some human services contract increases. These are a portion of the increases that we talked about at the budget workshop for the AHA contract and the recovery navigators program. And these negatives, these are, we're adding to the base budget. So now we've got some base budget corrections where we're actually taking away. So we had found some adjustments, a couple of things where we had in there duplicated. So we had our C-Click Fix subscription, we had it duplicated. Our Covington Days overtime is included in is already included in Adam's overtime budget. We can absorb that in his budget, so we didn't need it in the parks recreation budget, so we're taking that out. And then we had two big ones that were the climate action contract correction and the middle housing contract correction. So we had created a couple of new account codes for those grants specifically, and it was also included in the professional services budget. So we had it in there twice. We were just correcting those. And then this is the mulch that I mentioned earlier. We're just moving that from 2024 down to 2025. And then the next one, the 116,744, this is one of the reductions that we talked about at the budget workshop, where we're reducing the transfer out to the street fund from the general fund. So you can see I'm reducing it in the general fund and reducing it in street funds. And again, this is another one that we talked about during the budget workshop, the removal of the code compliance officer / admin position. We're taking it out of the general fund. This is a position that's split 80% general fund, 20% development services. On your blue sheet that I gave you, I had forgotten the developed services portion. So I've got that corrected, and it's corrected in the budget moving forward. We've got reduction of professional services advertising of 10,000, central service office supplies of 5,000, and the police services projected reconciliation, we're decreasing that by 225,000. The outdoor town hall meeting, we are eliminating the reduction of the concert in the park series. We're going down from 3 concerts in the park down to 1, so that reflects that. And then we had a couple of changes in decision cards. So we removed the pool liner decision card. They're going to move that potentially to 2026 and try to seek some grants, monies for that. And then the transfer out to Jenkins Creek Park, I'm removing that from the general fund because that was not supposed to be coming from the Parks Reserve. All of our Parks Reserve dollars are accounted for and earmarked for something. It's going to be coming out of park impact fees. So I don't need to do that transfer out of the general fund. So I didn't need to make an adjustment on the CIP side because it's already included in the fund balance. It's just going to be spent from the funds that are already in there. And then the only other changes I made were the aquatic center reserve. I added back in that pool liner money since we won't be needing it. I deducted the 21,900 from the HB 1590, the 40%, because we'll be spending those additional RNP funds. And then the Parks Reserve, I added back in that transfer to Jenkins Creek because that was done in error. And then on your blue sheet, I had a line hidden for the police contract reserve. So I just was showing that I unhid it. So, and that is all I have for you tonight.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. The ground rules for public comment during the public hearing are as follows. When your name is called, step up to the microphone, give your name and state whether you are a resident of the city of Covington. Please limit your comments to 4 minutes. The city clerk will set a timer that will go off when your time is up. When the timer goes off, please wind up promptly. Is there anybody in the audience wishing to address council concerning the 2025 budget? Is there anybody on? Sam? I'm just gonna ask. Yeah. Is there anybody online wishing to address council concerning the 2025 operating and capital budget? Please raise your hand. Nobody raising their hand? Sean? Sam? Call on Sean.
Could be called worse.
Sam Pace, 29839 154th Avenue Southeast, Kent 98042. Again, just outside the city limits. Speaking on just on behalf of myself, not on behalf of anybody else tonight. I have a brother and a mom served on a city council in a small city, and you may be aware of this, but I want to add some context, just in case you may not be. I've been active in front of local governments for quite a while, as I said, and in the mid 1990s, just after I went to work for the realtors, I was in a Bellevue City Council meeting, and there's a little testiness between the mayor and the city manager. They had a $5 million shortfall. They had enough money in the budget. The city manager cut the $5 million and wouldn't tell the mayor where he got it from. They had that much money in the budget. For me, it's kind of like a baseball analogy. There are teams that have got murderers row in terms of sluggers. And then there are folks who have to play small ball, where every person that you get on base, every base that you can steal, every improvement that you can make as at the margin And you have to just be, Leanne Gear, who just retired down south, same thing, just constantly. And yet, despite having those gigantic disadvantages, we look at the progress the city is making playing small ball. And so if you haven't done recently, pat yourselves on the back. It's incredibly hard work. And everybody can try and do it, and some do it better than others. But to be able to do it consistently and leverage that over time so that you end up with the opportunity. I mean, there was a time in this city when I was here, and you had a city manager that had to cut everything in the budget except for the things the city was legally required to provide. And tonight I got to hear the words park bench in a staff presentation. Doesn't seem like much, but you know, you have a cleanup crew that starts small and you get folks, and you have karma and you put some benches in and you work with the CETUS, and next thing you know, you've got $1.3 million of commercial property that's coming in the line. 1,750 market rate housing units that are in the line. An increased property tax base that's coming. You get business support to try to have emphasis patrols related to putting a crimp on shoplifting. It's not just that you're surviving, it's that when confronted with these enormous challenges, but also opportunities of scarcity, you're really having this city thrive and position itself really well for some really exciting stuff. And that is really hard work. It's all way in the weeds. There's no big pontification that goes on. You got to scratch, you got to put it under your fingernails to make that happen. And you're doing that. Thank you. You're doing a good job at it. So is your staff.
Thank you, Sam. Anybody else wishing to approach the podium, address council? Seeing nobody raise their hand and nobody approach. I will declare this public hearing closed. Does council have any questions for Casey? No. Okay, this is just a discussion item. We will be bringing this back at our next meeting on December 10th. Next is new business item number 2, the 2024 third quarter financial report. Casey.
Is that as big as it's gonna get?
Video off.
That looks good to me.
Oh, there you go.
Zoom in on that. All right, thank you. Yep, sorry about that. All right, so please let me know if I'm not scrolling and talking in the same order. I tend to forget to scroll. All right, I'm going to just jump right in and then skip the first page because that's a summary page, and I'll hit all of those points just further on. So for our property taxes through first quarter, we brought in about $1.7 million or 54.5% of budget. We're just starting to hit our second property tax chunk that comes in at the end of the year. So our other half will be paid, well, is being paid right now. So got that. Real estate excise tax through third quarter collections are at 172.3% of budget. So we're doing great. We did lower our expectations this year a little bit with the housing market, but we are doing still rather well. This is a little bit higher, 35.8% higher than 2023. We're currently through September, 29 new home sales, 174 existing home sales, 3 commercial sales, 2 building sales, and 5 lot sales. And since you guys like these numbers so much, I added this in, but the average existing home price was $664,850, and the average new home price was $954,475. And just as a comparison from 2023, we had 15 new home sales compared to 29 this year, and we had 160 existing home sales in 2023 versus 174. So those are trending back up. Our existing home prices in 2023 were $625,000 versus $664, so a little bit of an increase there. But we've actually seen a decline in our average new home prices. For 2023, it was $979,000, and this year it's $954,000. So for our retail sales and use tax, for our unrestricted sales tax for third quarter, our collections are at 79.6% of budget. And had to look it up a couple of times, but we really are just $900 more than we were the same time last year. So if we keep trending and tracking with 2023's numbers, which even through October we're just barely off by a couple of $1,000, we'll be bringing in probably an additional $250,000 for sales tax. So that would be fantastic. Comparing each quarter to third quarter of 2023 shows that retail came in a little bit lower at 0.6% lower. Construction was higher at 1% higher. Food services is higher at 2.8%, and all other categories are increased by just a little bit at 0.6. We have our other sales tax collections. We have our HB 1406 that we use for our rental assistance. We have our HB 1590 that we use for our community care specialist program, as well as our skip construction funds are included in there. And then we have our street fund TBD sales tax. Those collections are at 79.4% of budget. And we also have our new sales tax that's taking effect January 1st for the TBD. For utility taxes for third quarter, we are at 89.1% of budget, and a couple of reasons we're so high is because we have the sewer and the water that we've received this year, but they weren't in the budget projections. So that's why that's looking so high. I will just point out a couple of things. The natural gas, if you notice, it was higher in 2023. Our January through March of 2024 was about $40,000 less. Not up on the weather, but I don't know if we had a more mild winter, but it was down quite a bit. Our solid waste, you can see there was a big change from 2023 to 2024 as well, and that was because in 2023 they were behind on their quarterly payments and had caught up a couple quarters at the beginning of the year. So there's just an additional quarter in 2023 that there wasn't in 2024. So we're technically still on par with where we should be for solid waste. It just looks pretty skewed. And cable and telephone both, we continue just to see just a little bit of a decline every year. And then the swim, the reason for the change from 23 to 24 is because in 2023, you might remember we had a big one-time payment from BPA they caught up on. So that was just a big chunk of cash that came into the swim fund for the drainage utility. And then that's what the utility payment is calculated on. So that's why we had that little bit of a bump in 2023. For the general fund, our operating revenues are at 80.1% of budget. And our total expenditures, including transfers out, we're at 66.2% of budget. So revenues are coming in strong, and we're under, generally the 75% mark for this time this year. And just a couple departments I'll just point out. For the executive department, it's over just a tiny bit, 76.1%. That's due to some election services costs. The central services department, 78.8%. There's some one-time things that take place in the beginning of the year, so that, evens out by year end. We have our insurance, that's a big chunk, right, that we have to pay in January. And then parks maintenance, 80.7%. There was the CCP turf project that took place, so that overage is offset by a grant that we receive. And then the aquatics department, just a little bit, and that is due to a building automation upgrade that we did that was in the budget for 2023, didn't finish up until 2024, so it's just a little bit over budget. And then the Parks Department's over just a little bit. Again, that is offset by grant funds that are coming in for that aquatic feasibility study. So for the Public Works Department, for the street fund, our total operating revenues are at 77.7% of budget. So right where we'd like to see them this time of year. Comcast franchise fees are generally remain pretty flat. They're under just a little bit from 2023. Our gas taxes are just, they're over our estimates for the year, but still under just a tiny bit from 2023. Our motor vehicle license fees are up 2%. And as a reminder, these are the fees that will be going away beginning January 1st. Our total expenditures, excluding transfers out, are 65.8% of budget, so under budget projections. And then for our swim fund, our total operating revenues are at 68.4% of budget. And year to date, we've collected 57.4% of our levy. And again, we're already collecting that other half right now. Those payments are due. And then total expenditures, excluding the transfers out, are at 70.5% of budget. So again, under budget estimates for this time of year. For development services, total revenue is at 92% of budget. So definitely strong showing this year. Development services starting to tick up again. The number of permits for single family residences are at 46 compared to 23 in 2023. So double, those are coming in stronger. For all other permit categories, there was 298 permits issued compared to 291 in 2023. And when I say all other permit categories, those are things like mechanical, plumbing, sign permits, things of this nature. Total operating expenditures are at 62.2% of budget. So again, those are coming in under budget estimates. For aquatics, recreation, and cultural arts, for aquatics department, the revenue is coming in at 92.8% of budget. So it's great, coming in strong. The recreation and cultural arts is at 85.7% of budget. The aquatics expenditures are at 77.4. Again, those are over, and that was because of that capital outlay for that automation project that took place. And then the recreation and cultural arts is under budget 73.4%. I will mention, if you look at the aquatic center splash count, you can see that our 2024 numbers are coming in lower than our 2023 numbers. For 2024, for the total splash counts, we've had 85,700 splashes. For 2023, we were a little over 100,000. And just speaking to Landon, he said our rec swims are down a little, and so are our private rentals. So for cash and investments, our total cash and investments are almost 44 million. It's an increase of 1.6 million over last year. And our largest gainers are the general fund and the swim fund. The local government investment pool, we've earned 5.4% in interest, a great interest rate right now that we're seeing on that. And we currently have a little over 33 million invested in the LGIP. And then my other outside investments are a little over $8 million, and they're all invested in US government agencies. So for the capital investment program, I'm just going to point out a couple things on here. For the Jenkins Creek Park, you can see we have a large outlay of expenditures of 1.8 million, but no revenues. So you might wonder how we're paying for all those expenditures. The general fund gave a transfer to the Jenkins Creek Park project last year of $1.9 million. So that's been getting them through on their cash flow. And then also you can see the other large project is, of course, the 1127, the SR 516 that is wrapping up. So you'll start to see some of these projects shifting off this chart, and then I'll start adding some new ones on. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is in your packet, a portion of the interfund loan chart got cut off. So this is just a new chart that you can see here. We currently have almost 6.3 million approved in interfund loans. We've transferred a little over 5 million year to date, and a portion of that's been paid back already, almost 2.2 million. I still have a balance of 3.3 that I could disperse if and when they need it. And that is all I had for your third quarter report, but I'm open to any questions if you have them.
Anybody have any questions, Casey? Casey, thank you very much. Really appreciate you keeping us updated on where we're standing. Thank you. Next is new business item number 3, consider an appointment to Human Services Commission. Does council wish to take action tonight?
I move to appoint Ann Magner.
I second.
Third.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Ann Magner to fill position number 5 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2026. Beth, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yeah, I was really impressed with her passion, her energy, and her succinctness in communication. As a project manager, she definitely possesses those qualities of trying to find consensus, setting goals, getting requirements, and she wants to see outcomes. She's a doer, but also understands that sometimes that takes time. So I think she's got a very appropriate expectation of what to do and trying to level up to that. There's lots of other things I could say, I'm sure. Complete that list.
Thank you, Beth. Jennifer, would you like to speak to your second?
Thank you, Beth. Yes, and definitely shows her passion and describes herself as action oriented and wanting to serve the vulnerable and build healthy foundations for families. Her energy level is contagious. I think she would be a great fit on our commission.
Thank you, Jennifer. Is anybody else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Been moved and seconded to appoint Ann Magner to fill position number 5 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2026. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Ann. Next is new item business number 4. Consider an appointment to the Planning Commission. Does council wish to take action tonight?
For the,
For the Planning Commission.
where are we?
Item number 4.
4, sorry. I'd like to appoint Raj Manalakar to the Planning Commission with the term expiring August 31st, 2025.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Raj Manalakar to fill position number 4 on the Planning Commission with a term expiring August 31st, 2025. Sean, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yeah, in Raj's interview, similar to Ann's mentioned, he recently moved to Covington and wants to get involved. He has ideas on how to help the city grow and wants to bring his skill at identifying maybe where gaps are in our coverage or approach. So he likes to focus on small problems and he used a couple terms that I know we're starting to cultivate or try and generate or support around, but he wants to see Covington become the hot spot for Maple Valley, Canton, Black Diamond, as well as a kind of a central hub for this southeast part of King County. So I appreciated that.
Thank you, Sean. Debbie, would you like to speak to your second?
Thank you. And much of what Sean said, I was also impressed with his background being in engineering and technology. And then it was interesting when we asked, what do you see as the most important function of the Planning Commission? He sees it as being the infrastructure for both businesses and our residents. And he thinks that the members of the commission should show up at events and learn about what the residents feel could be built. So I think that he would do a great job.
Thank you, Debbie. Anybody else wishing to speak for or against the motion? It's been moved and seconded to appoint Raj Manalakar to fill position number 4 on the Planning Commission with a term expiring August 31st, 2025. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Raj. Next is new business item number 5. Consider an appointment to the Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission. Does council wish to take action tonight? Debbie.
Thank you. I would like to appoint Felicia Daniels to fill position number 4 on the Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission with the term expiring September 30th, 2026.
Is there a
Second.
second? Thank you, Beth. Been moved and seconded to appoint Felicia Daniel to fill position number 4 on the Equity, Cultural and Social Justice Commission with a term expiring September 30th, 2026. Debbie, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. While others on this commission and those that we've interviewed have had a little bit of different perspective, maybe focusing more on diversity and equity and culture, what I really appreciated about Felicia's thoughts were around the social justice piece. And she has a lot of insight into that area. She's got an interest in social justice from a couple of different angles. And she'd like to work with the commission on how social justice impacts our community, and feels that we could provide educational opportunities to our residents. She had a lot of great ideas, and she's already been an asset in another mission for us. So I think she would do a good job.
Thanks, Debbie. Beth, would you like to speak to your second?
Yes, I think, with what Debbie mentioned about her, Felicia's focus on social justice, I think one of the things that was really important to me that she mentioned is that she wants to try to help keep the definition of diversity broad, because a lot of times when people hear about that, when they hear that word about diversity, they automatically think it's specifically on race. And it isn't just that, it is that, but there are a lot of other people that need to be included in that conversation. And so I think she will approach problems from that perspective. And that was kind of the whole point of the commission. Appreciated that.
Thank you, Beth. Is there anybody else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Been moved and seconded to appoint Felicia Daniel to fill position number 4 on the Equity, Cultural and Social Justice Commission with a term expiring September 30th, 2026. All those in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Felicia. Item number 6, consider appointment to the Youth Council. Does the council wish to take action this evening?
I move to appoint Ava Berquist to fill position number 4 on the Youth Council with the term expiring June 30, 2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Ava Berquist to fill position number 4 on the Youth Council. Jennifer, would you like to speak to your motion?
Sure. Ava plans to major in political science when she goes to college, and would like to use her voice to help those who consider themselves voiceless. I also really appreciated her response to the last question about how city council and youth council interact. She had a great response saying that, collaborating and bringing her younger experience with older experience, and together to look at the changes that have been made over decades. And I just thought that was a really great way to explain the significance of the input we received from youth council.
Thank you, Jennifer. Sean, would you like to speak to your second?
Sure. I will just add, I thought, what does she see as the number one issue facing youth? And it was a little bit of a different response than what we've heard from others. That she is focusing on those in high school that don't have a plan after they graduate. And so starting to focus on helping those students identify what their opportunities are and options, not just for college, but securing a job after high school, I think was a really unique perspective that we hadn't really heard before from someone on the youth council. So glad to hear we see someone thinking so proactively. So
Great. Thank you, Sean. Anybody else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Been moved and seconded to appoint Ava Berquist to fill position number 4 on the Youth Council with a term expiring June 30th of 2026. All those in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Ava. Next is new business item number 7, appoint a voting delegate for the 2024 Sound Cities Association annual meeting on Wednesday, December 4th. Currently we have Regan and Debbie signed up going to the SCA meeting. Is there anybody else going to attend? All right. So Debbie, would you like to be our voting member?
Certainly.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve Debbie as our voting delegate.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Debbie Hartsock as the voting delegate to represent the city of Covington at the 2024 SCA annual meeting. I should have asked Regan if he wanted to do it also. But Debbie's right here. All right.
Debbie would be so good. I'll be your support.
We'll let you do number 8.
All right. Is there any further discussion on this item? Anybody want to speak for or against the motion? All right. Been moved and seconded to appoint Debbie Hartsock as the voting delegate to represent the city of Covington at the 2024 annual meeting. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. I know you'll represent us well. Next is new business item number 8, appoint a voting delegate for the 2025 Sound Cities Association Board elections. There has been a change. It is still going to be on Thursday, December 12th, but it will be from 1 to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Is there anybody able to attend? I can, now that it's at 1, I can attend. So if you don't mind registering me. And I'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Jeff Wagner as the voting delegate to represent the city of Covington for the 2025 SCA board elections. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is business item number 9, considering a proposed ordinance amending Title 8 of the Covington Municipal Code to add a new chapter 8.35 shopping cart regulations. And I'll turn this over to Regan or Don.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll turn it over to Don in just a moment. I just wanted to point out the document I handed out to each of you there. Beth asked some great questions this morning when I was talking to her, and so I put together this document. Hopefully that will provide a little bit more clarity around what we're currently doing and how that fed into council's direction and conversations we've had with council to put this ordinance together. So with that, Don, go ahead and take it from there.
Sounds good. So tonight we have a proposed ordinance regarding shopping carts. The purpose of this ordinance is to help address lost, stolen, or abandoned shopping carts around the city. The goal is not for this program to generate revenue, but rather to encourage retailers to help address the issue of carts being removed from the retail property and being abandoned throughout the city. Basically, the way this would work based on the way the ordinance is written is if staff sees a cart, they'll retrieve the cart, place a tag on the cart with the date and location where the cart was found. The cart would then be returned in a reasonable amount of time to the retailer and placed at the designated location that has been worked out with the retailer. So Jennifer would be working with them and saying, okay, where would you like me if you find the cart to take the tagged cart so they know that they've been tagged and that, you know, not just be put in with the rest of the carts just back in, you know, circulation so they know that. The city would maintain a record of the retrieved carts at the end of the month. The retailers would be billed for each cart according to the current fee in place per the fee resolution. Staff has reviewed other cities that have shopping cart ordinances, and those fees have ranged from $30 to $200. So based on that, staff was recommending a fee of $75 per cart, basically taking into account kind of the time and effort to take those back. If approved, this ordinance would go into effect on January 1st, 2025. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does council have any questions for Don? Sean.
Thank you, Don. I appreciate it. Couple of questions. So if this were to pass, how do we plan to communicate this new fee to our businesses? And would there be, you know, sometimes when the law changes, there's a grace period to basically say, we're gonna start collecting a fee on this. You've got, you know, 2 months to recognize this new behavior. Is that going to happen? So two questions on that.
Yeah, so what's a couple things on that. One thing, this has been in the works for a while, and there's been discussions that we've had with retailers. And one of the great things actually, again, that Jennifer is she has went around and already had been talking with the retailers even before we had been talking about this mid-year earlier this year, and was talking about this going into effect in January. She already reached out to all the retailers again that basically have shopping carts, letting them know that this was on the agenda for tonight. So she let them all know that that was the case. And Jennifer and I have talked about this too. I mean, you know, really this isn't, you know, our desire, like right away, we're going to be like hammer type thing, but more so, yeah, just trying to work within the desire really is to be a partnership type piece to get retailers to like work with us on dealing with the issue. And so that's really the idea. I don't know that we've really set a specific grace period, but I know that the idea would be like working with them and going through that process as this gets into effect and making sure people are aware of that.
Just to add on the grace period, I think it's a good idea and it is something that we could implement.
Anybody else?
I think Sean has
I have a couple more, but
Okay.
But go ahead. Beth.
Yeah, and Regan, thank you for bringing this document. I think it helps a little bit. I'm trying to run some numbers, and so I may be way off, right? But like, according to this, we might even assume that it's an hour of labor to manage a cart ish, based on tagging and bringing it back.
A little under, but
A little
to make
under.
math easy, yeah.
So $75 seems like a little bit more than what we would, am I thinking about it wrong or what? Like, it seems like it wouldn't cost the city $75 unless there's some other management stuff going on there I'm not thinking of.
I don't know that we've figured it out exactly, like dollar for dollar staff time to what the fee is. The fee was really a motivation so that they would do something like, and some of our retailers that, like Don mentioned, we've been dealing with for the last year, like Fred Meyer, like Safeway, they already started implementing things in preparation for this ordinance coming. So we haven't worked that out, but yeah, I mean, it would probably be pretty close to that, honestly, if you took an hour of staff time with, you know, salary and benefits, and I don't know, probably a little more, but.
Yeah, if you can keep in mind too, though, part of it is Jennifer, but also part of it is our work crews that go out too. They go out in 2s and 3s most of the time. Most of them are going out in 3. So if they're having to deal with a cart or go get that, even though that's only that amount of time, it's not like we're dispatching one person to go deal with carts, but they're out there and they're like, okay, there's 3 of them that are technically dealing with this cart because it is part of their workday, right? So they're going around, I gotta fix this pothole, I gotta do this, and we're out. No one's gonna go all the way back to the office and then send one person out to get what they're going out there. Okay, let's grab this cart. There's 3, so we're putting it in there. We're taking it back. So there are sometimes technically 2 or 3 people that are dealing with this cart as you, if you're counting it as far as true all labor. But like Regan said, it wasn't us trying to necessarily calculate that, but also kind of a balance of an incentive for retailers to kind of basically partner with us to take care of it.
There were a couple as well. I think Federal Way is $100. Sammamish is $300 like for one cart to be returned. Wow. Is what it's.
Yeah, I mean,
retailers, which is, yeah, it's high, right? But just for some comparison purposes.
Oh, go ahead, Debbie.
Well, thank you.
Sorry, so
I probably have a few other questions.
Casey just worked out the hourly rate for maintenance workers, $72.11.
That's what benefits.
Oh, okay, with benefits.
So that it was close. We didn't work it out to come out to that, but.
No.
Debbie, go ahead.
So just curious, so it says that Jennifer takes them back to the stores. How does she do that? With her own vehicle?
She pushes them back, so the ones she finds close, she'll just grab them and walk them back to the store and give them back. The ones that the maintenance crew finds around town, they bring them here to City Hall and she pushes them back to the store.
Okay, thank you.
So what was the response from the businesses related to that outreach saying we're thinking about this? And then going forward, where is that money? Because it's just gonna offset our costs, so. And then I have one last kind of comment, so go ahead.
Well, Fred Meyer's response was to put the locking mechanisms on there. Safeway hired a contractor to go around and pick their carts up. So that's been the response from those two. The other big one, I think a couple of them, Home Depot is another big one, and Walmart, they haven't done much, but they, I would say, don't want us to charge them for returning their carts. But I think they get it and understand why we're doing it, right? Don, anything other than that?
Yeah, and I think most of the ones that we see out there mostly is the Safeway, Fred Meyer, and Home Depot. I think the other ones, if I remember right, and gosh, I know I have that. It might have been in that. Yeah.
The big ones are Walmart, Home Depot, and Safeway. It used to be Fred Meyer, but that's practically been eliminated.
Yeah, they're a company that's a cart retrieval company they hired. So at first Jennifer worked with them and they were coming out like twice a month. And now she worked with them and they're like coming out at least once a week, and sometimes even more so to do that. So she's just been having that rapport and stuff with the different retailers and stuff too, which has been good. I don't know, like I said, I would imagine that they're not all like, yay, you're, but I haven't heard anything that's basically like, this is, ridiculous or anything like that.
I suspect we may, if this passes and they start getting invoiced. We'd probably hear more.
All right.
I think we get another question that I have a comment.
Go ahead, Beth.
Yeah, so I guess I'm wondering like what else has been done up until this point? Or if anything, I mean, she's obviously connecting with them. And I'm not saying it's Jennifer's job necessarily, but like, can't they just come and get their carts? Can't we just call them up and say, hey, we got some for you, come and get them? Or, and then you have 3 days, we're gonna start charging you, or I don't know what, has there been anything up to this point?
Well, that was something we considered and actually started doing.
Right.
But we didn't have enough space to store them on. It was going to take up way too much parking in the back. And so that's why the ordinance is drafted the way it is, that we don't store them because we don't have the space to do it. And the administration of storing them was going to be very difficult. And so the thought was we collect it, return it, no storage.
Sean?
Yeah, this is it. So if this passes, I think one of the things we need to do is not only communicate to the retailers about this new change, but communicate to the public about the impact of abandoned carts, and basically say, this is why we're doing this, because it tends to clutter up these areas. So I could see some people spinning this saying, look, you're just dinging our businesses again, but this is a real societal impact. And we want to create an incentive for these businesses to actually go back and collect their property. And, the way I look at it, I was initially thinking, yeah, this is kind of a ding, but we're basically subsidizing the collection of their carts. I mean, one way or another, I could see some business going, yeah, $75 an hour. That's not a bad deal for us to get our carts back. And so, until they come to us and say that, wow, we're going to do it ourselves. I think we're basically paying for the collection of their carts and we want to recover that cost. So I think it's, a good place to start 75, and then we can adjust if need be, if that cost isn't enough or it's too much. So
I will say to that point, there's been some of our larger retailers that have they write off, right?
Yeah.
They write off 300 to 400 missing carts a year. And so they're not worried about their carts being pushed off and dropped in our right of way somewhere. And we've just been returning them for them. And so the hope was, we didn't want to go too high. We talked about some lower numbers like $20 or 25. We just thought, I don't know that will be enough for them to care to do something proactive.
Mhm.
And so that was where we landed on that 75.
Anybody else? So, a lot of the carts for like Home Depot and Walmart and some of the other retailers, some of those carts are leaving the premises because of shoplifting. They're running with those, and you'll find them over, I see a lot of them over by our Jenkins Creek Park entrance that's being built. And I'm sure that a lot of them ended up in Jenkins Creek when we cleaned it up. I'm sure you found a lot of carts there.
They've pulled carts out of there.
it's
I'm sure
regular
they
that we're
still
pulling them
do it.
out. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's, and so the businesses won't even know that they're over there, because if they're shoplifting, which is great that Fred Meyer and Safeway are instituting where the car, I don't know if Safeway started it yet. They've got it on their carts to lock up, but Fred Meyer does. Which helps to help curb that. And hopefully that helps cut down on some of the shoplifting, but you know, actually, I know Safeway hasn't started, because when we did the food drive, that one gentleman grabbed 2 carts full of everything and went running out in the parking lot, and one of the young men tried to stop him. Brave soul. I don't know, but considering the average price of some of the large shopping carts are over $500 a piece. Because my small one that I had when I had a store over 20 years ago, they were $200 for those little bitty ones. So I'm sure there are even more than that. Okay. So any other questions? So before us is to potentially adopt an ordinance to add a new chapter 8.35 shopping cart regulations to the Covington Municipal Code. Does council wish to take action tonight?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Jennifer, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you for bringing this up. I am not a fan of using public dollars to return private property to our retailers. I'm not a fan of seeing these in our parks and our creek. I love Sean's idea of public communication about it. Showing some of these that have been in our creek is a great example of why we're taking a proactive measure to continue to keep our city clean. Yeah, I really hope that this will do the job. I know I cannot stand seeing shopping carts all over town. It's one of those things I can't pick up and remedy, and so I just have to go past it. And so I really appreciate the work done here. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Joe, would you like to speak to your second?
As much as I'm not a fan of telling businesses, hey, we've collected this for you, now you need to pay us to get it back. I am a fan of finding creative solutions to ensuring that we no longer have a problem. And I believe this is a creative solution. Do I think we're still going to find carts even with this? 100%, because it's not the retailers who are bringing their carts from Safeway over to Wax Road and 180th in front of Crestwood. It's people just taking them. But what we are doing is making sure that the businesses know that we're finding these carts and that they need to find another way to keep these carts there if they don't want to have to pay the city a certain amount of dollars every month. And to me, this is creative, and I am for it.
Thank you, Joe. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak for or against the motion? Sean?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. And just to dovetail on both Joe and Jennifer's, I think having good communication on this is going to be critical. So both to the retailers and the public. It'd be interesting though to track some of this as well, to maybe in a year from now report back to us on the success of this and what the impact has been. I'd be curious to see where we're picking these up, map some of that to say, this is a spot where we seem to continually get our carts, and if the number continues to go down, that's what we want. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Anybody else wish to speak for or against the motion?
Beth.
I don't want to.
Oh, Beth.
No. Beth. No, I meant no for who's on here.
Yeah.
You can speak.
Thank you. I appreciate the intent and I would agree with what other council members have said about not having the city staff trying to recoup some of the funds that it's taking time and effort to get these back to the retailers. I am, however, apprehensive because I feel like the reason those carts leave is because they're being stolen and then they get hit again. So I would be apprehensive, or I would want to really readdress this or revisit this with statistics to see how they're feeling. Because quite frankly, like part of our job as the city is to help make our downtown core look nice as well in partnership with the businesses. And so I don't, it's great that we're doing it because it looks way better than it used to look. I feel like there could be another public campaign along with this so that if you're out there taking a walk and you see a cart, just do the neighborly thing and take it back. You know, I mean, we've done that before on our litter cleanups. Or when we see something in a park, we take it back, we loaded it up in Fred Meyer and we took it back all the way from Cedar Creek Park. So sometimes you can do those types of things as a resident to help make your city better. So I would reluctantly support this, but with a plan to revisit it and see how it's working.
Thank you, Beth. Mark.
Just briefly, thank you, council. To address the question of the grace period, there are a couple of ways. If council wanted to include something like that, it would be, there are really three ways you could do it. It would be under having the ordinance go into effect at a later date, just picking whatever you want and have the staff go through a process of explaining that it will be going into effect, and instead of having a grace period, have an education period. Another way to do this would be under the ordinance 8.35.080. The administrator is able to establish written policies, and they could establish a written policy saying that there will be a grace period for the first X amount of time. And actually, those are the two main ways that can be done. Or you could just add it by motion, saying that that the shopping cart regulations will be approved subject to a 1 month, 2 week, whatever grace period for the fees. So if that's something you're interested in, that can be done, but I just wanted to make sure you had that option before you.
Thank you, Mark. I had a neighbor that when they moved, they had 12 WM carts in their backyard. Right. Do we want to, before we vote on this, do we want to add language in there about a grace period? Or do we go with what Mark said? Because in the chapter 8.35, the administrator, I assume that is Regan, has the option to do the grace period. You want to?
I would plan to do that. The effective date is January anyway, so we have a month and a half lead time that we'll be communicating. They already know this is on. We let all the big retailers know it was on tonight's council meeting as well. But I'm happy to do a 90 day grace period.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anything else? Been moved and seconded to adopt an ordinance to add a new chapter 8.35 shopping cart regulations to the Covington Municipal Code. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. That concludes our business. Looking at our future agenda, next meeting is December 10th. We do have a joint meeting with our Human Services Commission, and we will have an executive session at the end of that meeting as well. Is there anything else that council would like to see on a future agenda in 2026?
26?
Wow, that's a.
We're not, that's why we're not adding.
Yeah.
We're not adding. We got a full
Oh,
calendar of
moly, what am I
25.
gonna be doing in 20?
I'm pushing it out.
Oh,
Man.
So
That's a way to slow some stuff down.
yeah, that's why I pushed it. But is there anything council would like to see next year? Okay. With that, then let's move into council staff comments. Start with Adam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I have no comments tonight, but happy Thanksgiving to you all.
Thank you. Ethan,
Yeah, hi, Mayor. Hi, Council. Nothing from me tonight. Thank you.
thanks, Ethan. Don,
Just a couple things. One, we had a storm debris cleanup event today at Timberlane Clubhouse between 9 and 3 with Republic Services dropped off 2 40-yard bins for storm debris, and John was there today, basically helping load that into the big bins, and also just to make sure that things aren't like contaminated and people are bringing like trash and all that kind of stuff, right? So it was very successful. He said people were very happy with it. The only thing they said was, gosh, I wish it would have been a Saturday type thing, but that's always a little bit of a challenge staffing wise too. But we did have a couple of commercial haulers that tried, like commercial like landscapers that tried to bring like 5-yard, like jump their whole thing there, and John was like, well, that's not really the intent. So you can take that and find some other place that you need to do it. So but we had about 60 yards actually of debris that we got there. So it was very successful. So like I said, people were very happy that we did that. 180th is now open between 244th and 240th. So yeah, that was a fun one. And then I think Regan already updated you, but then our grant funds that we got from TIB for the 256 culvert project. So that was I think just under 5 million, and we're still looking to try to get some other funding to fully fund that. But that was a great Thanksgiving notice for that. And with that, same thing with the chief. Happy Thanksgiving for everyone.
that was a wonderful email to open up.
Yes.
Yep. Selena, thanks, Don.
Hi, good evening, Council and Mayor. I have nothing tonight. Have a great holiday.
Thanks, Selena. Casey.
Just a couple things. We had our exit conference this week with the auditor's office, and I sent you guys the exit conference packet. And if you notice, like Debbie noticed, that our cost actually shows it's going down for next year. It probably won't. It's just this year we had a modified single audit, which increased our normal audit cost. It's a special audit we have for federal funds. And more than likely, we're going to have that same audit next year. So it'll be right about what we spent this year. And just secondly, we're holding our B&O tax interviews on Tuesday. We've got some qualified candidates for people that we're going to be interviewing. So we're pretty excited about that. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Casey. Mark.
There's no executive session this evening, and I have no further report. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thanks, Mark. Regan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank our team. They really did an exceptional job with the programming and the execution of working through that windstorm. We came up with some great ideas. I think we provided some great service to the community. So just kudos to them. They did awesome. It's just a wonderful team. I did get a message from Christina a little bit ago. She said it was midnight where she is, and she said she's really sad she couldn't join tonight, but was grateful that you excused her. So with that, happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Regan. Krista.
I have nothing to report. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Beth.
Just looking forward to some of the fun holiday events that we have coming up to celebrate the season, and happy Thanksgiving. And happy birthday, Sean.
Thank you.
Again.
Beth. When is the shop with the comp?
The 14th of December.
Oh,
There's 3
okay.
things that day. It's a lot. The wreaths
Okay.
and then the Makers Market. So.
Thank you. Sean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple things. The RFA didn't have a meeting last Wednesday, although we did have a ribbon cutting for the new RFA administrative headquarters. It's on 84th Street. They've been in that building for a while, but they wanted to have a public dedication. Speeches, our own Margaret Harto helped dedicate it, and we had the chief. They had bagpipes, and then a symbolic lowering of the old flag, raising of the new. So it was touching, and it was good to see they're physically moved in now down there. So I'm a little melancholy and sad that we're no longer here in Covington, but it's a really nice facility. And if you haven't, you come see the public meeting space. It's quite large, and they spend a fair amount of money on the dais. So it's an interesting facility, and they'll be there for quite a while. The only other thing I would say is similar to others. Have a happy Thanksgiving. One of the things we do in our family, probably similar to others, we just go around at the table and say what we're thankful for the past year. And apropos to this, I'm thankful to be part of this city, part of this city council and staff. I'm grateful for the professional and healthy culture that we have developed here on this council. So I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate working with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
Debbie.
Thank you. Casey, I just wanted to congratulate you and your team again on a great audit. I asked her about the difference in rate, but I thought maybe she was getting some extra credits for doing such a great job this year. Darn it. And then, you know, during that storm, while all of us were suffering through cold and not being able to watch our Netflix and except Sean,
Not
all that stuff. It really felt like we are a community, because I saw, you know, when I was finally able to get on, I had to go out, drive around to get on the internet because I didn't have the internet. So to get on Facebook, but when you see everything that's going on, so, you know, it was neighbors helping neighbors, and it was the city helping people with their debris. And it was, well, in our neighborhood, my husband was going around and fixing everybody's generators. But the other thing that I really wanted to just give some kudos to, Safeway offered to take the storehouse's frozen food and keep them because we lost our freezers and our cooler. Well, we lost our power. The storehouse, and Cascadia Produce, where the storehouse gets a lot of produce from, offered to take their refrigerated items. So all of that food that would have perished, and that food, you know, it goes on for weeks and weeks if we have to have it. So it would have been just detrimental to the Covington residents that use the storehouse had that food been lost. And then I don't know if anybody saw the pictures from Tahoma National Cemetery. It just broke my heart this morning.
No.
The worst of all of the downed trees of pictures I've seen happened at the cemetery, but not one headstone was marred or damaged or totally blown over. So that was good, but I learned that a little bit too late to offer to help. But, you know, we've all been doing a lot for them to keep them in our community. And it just felt really sad to see those pictures. But anyway, I just felt really proud of our community. Like always, people pull together, offer up what they have, and everybody gets by.
Thank you, Debbie.
Oh,
Good.
and happy Thanksgiving. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
you're
not
good.
anti-Thanksgiving.
Never thought you would.
We don't eat it.
Jennifer.
Ditto to everything that everyone has said. Seriously, I'm very thankful to be involved with the city. When I don't, you know, first joined a commission years ago, I was very hesitant, based on, you know, just giving my time to organizations that maybe don't deserve it. If that's, you know, I'm a blunt person, I'll just say it. And I was just every interaction as a resident, as I remember Stacy in payroll helping my kids fill out their payroll forms. I mean, all those little touches really add up to this amazing community. And yes, a huge thank you to Public Works. You know, as you know, that's what my husband does. So I have a special place in my heart for those people out there picking up branches and working, you know, 14-hour shifts to keep roads open and safe for us. So a huge thank you to the team, because our city, given the impact, I think was in really great shape. Honestly, we could still get around. So yeah, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Jennifer. Joe.
I had an RTC meeting last week. You all have an email in your, that I forwarded to Chris, that I have forwarded to you, from Genevieve Jones from King County Metro. When I first read it, I had to call Regan to calm me down from it. King County Metro in this email, to me, it read as, we're not poor enough to matter. We're not rich enough to matter to get new routes anytime soon. That is how I read the email. And Regan had to talk me down from writing a very mean email back.
Shame on you.
But my reasoning for that is because King County Metro uses what they call Metro's Equity Priority Area. And that's scoring that will prioritize where this service goes. For some odd reason, South King County, which would include Enumclaw, Black Diamond, Covington, Maple Valley, is in the Snoqualmie EPA. For Snoqualmie Valley EPA is what they're using. Snoqualmie, I understand, has a higher density of people who have more money than Southeast King County. But to use that to represent Southeast King County is not just wrong, it is unethical in my opinion. And I will gladly say this in front of King County Metro and the rest of King County, but I held my tongue on Wednesday on this one. But I did ask why Southeast King County was being incorporated into the Snoqualmie Valley EPA score. The Metro GM couldn't give me a valid answer. She said she needed to get more information. It might have just been what they were using to give us information why we're not getting, why there's not a route between the east side and the southeast at this Southeast King County at this time, because I did mention to them at our meeting in October that one Saturday in June or July, I was trying to figure out what traffic was like on Highway 18 between us and North Bend, because I had to take Brian to work. And with the construction on State Route 18, it could take anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours to get to North Bend. And Google Maps likes to tell me how long it could take if I used Metro. It would have taken over 9 hours to get from Covington to North Bend. We can walk to North Bend quicker than that. And I made that.
Maybe you, but not me.
Not you, Jeff.
On average.
On average, we can. But so I made that, and that might be why they were talking about Snoqualmie CPA. But they also like to tell me that the population density along Highway 18 between Snoqualmie and Maple Valley isn't large enough to get to warrant buses on Highway 18. And I wanted to say, no kidding, no one lives between Maple Valley and Snoqualmie on Highway 18. It's all highway. Of course, the density's not there, but isn't the point to get from point A to point B? So I'm very hopeful. So I'm hoping that when you read this email, that you don't fly off the handle like I did and have to have Regan talk you down. But if you do, Regan's very good at that. But I am very hopeful that we can have Metro GM Allison down here to talk to this, because I know I have a lot more questions, and I will not be, if she comes in January, I won't be the vice chair, so my tongue might not be as withheld as it would be as the possibility of being the vice chair. So hopefully we get her here soon so we can get some questions, because as of right now, the only route planned is an expansion route to go from Maple Valley out to Burien instead of just to Kent. So, and that's sometime in the next 26 years that route expansion is going to happen. So I'd like to see that be sooner. On happier notes, yes, I was one of the wonderful people who had no power. Sean, I'm very mad that you didn't call me, because I would have come over to your house in an instant, because there's heat there. But I'm very happy to see that the city brought in that charging, having people being able to come in and do charging. I thought that was a great idea. And I may have taken advantage of that, but I did it after hours, bringing the whole family, and we sat in the conference room. We got warm. Cindy charged about 7 devices. I didn't even know we had that many. I just knew I had my phone and my laptop, but my school had power, so I was able to charge most of my stuff at school. But it was very nice to be able to have a place to come to use power to charge. And I'm very thankful that the city opened up the community room for that same thing. I know I got an email from SCA today about appointments for next year. I don't know if everyone else did. If you haven't looked at your email, do check. I will be on, as long as we vote aye at the next PIC meeting, I will be on the RTC again next year. My term as chair of the SCA caucus and vice chair of the RTC will come to an end in January, but we will see. I will still be the vice chair of PIC, however, next year. So with that being said, that's really all I have. I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and don't read that email on Thanksgiving if you're having a good day. I'm just saying. Thank you.
What day did that email come to us? Because
I just had it sent this evening.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll definitely read those.
Said it was follow-up and I didn't.
So, I agree wholeheartedly with everything that's been said. It's an honor and thankful to sit up here with each of you. The passion and sympathy that you each have for this community. I moved here back in '88 and just seeing, like, during this storm and everything, how everybody wants to work together and help, and being out of power. Well, actually, not being out of power wasn't good, but being out of the internet for 8 days made a difference. Some good, some bad, but also thankful for each of you for what you do, but also for our leadership and our team that you each represent in this community. Just seeing everybody out there. I mean, I drive 180th every morning and every night, so going a different route. But on my way home today, I couldn't tell who was out there, the crew, because all I could see was everybody bent over, chopping up wood and everything just to clear that road. So you have a very good team out there working, and everything everybody does, and not just our council, our staff, our officers out there helping, but each of our residents that bend over to help. I saw neighbors helping neighbors also, even in our community or in our neighborhood. So it's amazing what it takes to bring people together. Just the big things like that. People were saying that they haven't seen power outage. When I moved here, we were losing power like every other month. But nothing as bad as this last couple of weeks. So the events that are coming up, we have the tree lighting on December 7th. So I'll be there hopefully to see some of you. And Chief, you will have another licensed driver on the road tomorrow. Yep. Yep. She turns 16 tomorrow. She's passed. She has done better at her driving than I could ever imagine that I could have when I took classes. She's done very good. So yeah, 16 years ago on Thanksgiving Day. Yeah. So, yep. Hard to believe. Yeah.
Oh,
I remember. Thank you. I remember when we had the baby shower over at Councilmember Jim Scott's house that day, and that was hard for me to believe. So, but I want to thank everybody and happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and hopefully we don't lose power, and those that are without power can get power. And thank you to Puget Sound Energy, Comcast, all of our cellular utilities, the fire department. I know that they were out there helping as well, and just thanks to everybody for what we went through. Could not have imagined being back on the East Coast with what they went through. So with that, we'll move into our second public comment. Speakers will state their name, organization, and whether they are a Covington resident. Comments are directed to City Council, not the audience or staff, and comments are to be related to city business. Comments are not intended for conversation or debate and are limited to 4 minutes per speaker. For attendees participating by Zoom, click the raise hand button. For attendees participating by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. Once the city grants permission to speak, press unmute in Zoom or dial *6 to unmute by phone. Is there anybody in the audience wishing to address council this evening? Is there anybody online wishing to address council? Seeing nobody approach the podium, nobody raise their hand. We do not have an executive session. This meeting is adjourned at 9:10.